Não dá nem vontade de ir embora.
Gotta sign up I found that. I found. Gotta take the course with him.
Yeah. Você acha que você sabe de alguma coisa? Ok. Celulares desligados, por favor. Vocês estão preparando ali a transmissão? Ok. Vocês estão achando que na Índia tem 500 milhões de pessoas contaminadas?
Eles não estão sabendo contar, eles não estão... Eu estava lendo, parece que...
Nós vamos ao ar agora. Good evening. Oh, can you hear me? Yes. Good, good, good. Everybody at home can hear me? Yeah, okay. So we're going to start our work for tonight. Tonight we have Stephen with Darkness Before the Dawn. So I invite you all to start with a small prayer so we can start with our workshop for tonight. So let's prepare ourselves. Stephen, can you take the back light off? Just leave this one here. Yeah? Okay. Okay, cool. So let's elevate our thoughts at this moment, clear our mind, living outside of the movements of the thoughts for the day, and keep here, focus on the now. We're very pleased, very thankful to be here tonight for this opportunity that is present us with a path for enlightenment, a path of teachings to show us how to better make our choices, how to better, walk this long path that we still have in this physical world. We ask permissions for the mentors of our Spiritist Center to help our friend that is going to be doing the lecture tonight. So in the name of God, in the name of our Master Jesus Christ, in the name of the mentors of our Spiritist Center, we ask permissions to start our workshop for tonight. So be it. So Stephen, good luck.
I'm guided by a force much greater than luck.
I hope so.
Okay.
Don't go tripping on this wire.
I ain't tripping, you tripping. All right. Welcome, everybody. Good evening. Boa noite. And hi, I haven't seen you guys in a little while. Welcome. I'm not going to call your names out on social media or anything, but some new faces, and welcome, everybody. So it's a pleasure to be here once again at BrowardSpiritistSociety. Luz. It's a bit dark in here.
Yeah.
You want it?
Yeah.
Come on.
So welcome, everybody. My name is Steve, and for those of you who don't know me, and for those of you that know me, my name is still Steve. And today I thought we would talk about the darkness before the dawn. And this is actually a photo, if you're looking at the, I don't know if you can see this. Online it probably actually looks better than it does here in the center. This is El Capitan, which is Spanish for the captain, which is a mountain in Yosemite Park, California. And I wasn't really sure what to talk about tonight, and I found this really inspiring story. And I thought if I could do anything, I could try to inspire you guys the way the story inspired me. So I thought maybe I would just tell you a story tonight. And let's see how this goes. So let's see. So this story is inspired by The Dawn Wall, which is currently available on Netflix. Not to endorse any streaming services. We should definitely be watching Broward Spiritist Society all the time, but when you're not watching our live stream, So check this one out. I found this like really, really motivating, this story. And this is where I got my inspiration for tonight's talk. Now, we have two main characters in this story. I'm trying to get through this. I was practicing this talk at home, and I always took too long. But usually I talk faster when I'm at the center, so like when I'm live, so we'll see how fast I go through this. We have Tommy Caldwell on the left and Kevin Jorgensen on the right. And these are mountain climbers. And they're the main characters in this story. And the story revolves around El Capitan. So this is a 3,000-foot cliff of sheer granite. The picture doesn't really do it justice, because as they say in this documentary, when you go there and see it for yourself, they say, and you're standing there just looking up this 3,000-foot cliff, they say it takes your breath away looking at it. So it's kind of amazing. I haven't been there, but it's like now I've seen this, it's on my bucket list for this lifetime or for maybe my next lifetime, I don't know. We'll see how much time I have. So from this view, it's a 3,000-foot straight drop. And this picture like doesn't even really look that big, but it's like, I'll take their word for it that it's pretty serious. Because when you see the mountain climbers on the side and there's like little speck, like not even like an ant, it's like, okay, that's a big cliff. So let's talk about Tommy Caldwell. He's an interesting character. Tommy was born, and they say he was like a little bit slow when he was born. They say he didn't even learn to walk until after he was like 2 years old. I'm not sure when you're supposed to walk, but I don't have any kids, but that's a long time. Like he was like sort of a slow development. And this is back in the 80s. And you know, in the 80s, we didn't have all the kind of stuff that we have today. So his teachers said some not so nice things about him, like saying that maybe he didn't belong in the regular class with the regular kids, that he'd belong in like another class where they could give him more attention. And it's funny because his father was like this like Mr. Universe kind of bodybuilder kind of guy, and he was a mountain climber, and he was into that. So what his father did, like in a very loving way, wanted to prepare him for life, because life is not easy, you know, navigating this planet, this world. So his father would take him out and try to like give him challenges and sort of toughen him up, and you know, not like in an abusive way or anything, but he would take him out on these like climbing trips from when Tommy was about 6 years old. He had him out climbing mountains, going on these trips, and like, you know, really to try to like prepare this kid for the world he was going to meet. So it's funny, by the time Tommy is about 15 years old or so, and in the mid 90s, they're living in Colorado, and they go and visit this climbing competition on the side of a hotel. It's this very large building, and they had like constructed one of those climbing walls that has like those little hand grips, you know, as a sort of a competition. And they had all like the top climbers from the climbing world, like these sort of like celebrity climbers. Like, if I didn't know this exists, I don't climb, but now I know a lot more about it from watching this. And they were like just going just to watch. So what happened was they get there a day early, and they find out that there's like sort of an amateur invitation. So Tommy says, hey, why not? You know, his dad signs him up. And he's 15 years old, and he just climbs this wall, just having a good time. And the organizers of the event see him, and they're like, why don't you come back tomorrow? And they're like, I don't know if they usually do this, where they invite somebody new to go against all these professional climbers, but maybe they saw something in him or what. So this 15-year-old kid comes back the next day, and he's climbing alongside all these top professional climbers, and he wins. He gets to the top of the wall. And this is like a serious, like we have one of these climbing walls not too far. Like when I was growing up at the arcade close to me, they had like sort of like a 20 or 30 foot wall you could climb, and I could climb that thing. But this is like a serious climb, and parts of it are actually like sort of like backwards, where you're sort of like climbing upside down. I'm like, this is no joke. And you see this little kid, and he's all like sort of like Spider-Manning like up this wall. It's pretty intense. So at the age of 15, he beat all these top climbers and became like sort of the #1 climber in the US. So that was like the start of his climbing career. So this is where the story starts to get like more interesting. After that, he's invited with a group of other like teenagers to go to Kyrgyzstan. And he's in Kyrgyzstan, which is a very mountainous country, climbing, with a group of 4 of them. And they're climbing, and they're climbing this mountain. They're on the side in one of those tents on the side of the cliff, and they start to hear bullets bouncing off the side of the cliff. So what happened was that there was a rebel group, and the rebels saw them there and got them to come down and actually took them hostage. So you have these 4 kids being held hostage by rebels in Kyrgyzstan. And it's a long story, but the rebels didn't really know what they were doing. They didn't really have a plan. There's 4 rebels. And after a few days of just marching these kids around, they figured out they're actually going around in a big circle. 2 of the rebels split off, and they might have got captured. There was just 2 rebels left. One of them left to go try to find food. And they're just with this one guy, and they're walking up the side of a mountain, and the kids are all used to being on mountains, and this rebel is not. So they see this opportunity, and they find a spot where there's sort of not so easy footing. Tommy goes up behind him and actually grabs him and throws him off the cliff. And it's amazing because he saves the lives of all his friends, and he feels horrible about it because he's like, how could I do that? How could I take somebody's life? This is he's having nightmares and stuff. But everybody else is so thankful that Tommy saved their lives. So he's only maybe 16 or so at this time, and he's got all this stuff going on. So this girl in this photo is Beth. So what happens after that, and they have this survivor's guilt or whatever they have, and they're close together, and they're always going out climbing together. They end up getting married, after they're 18, I guess, and because they're always together, always climbing. The next part of the story is that Tommy and Beth have their own home in Colorado, and they're doing a little fixer-upper renovations. So Tommy is, I think he's maybe resurfacing his cabinets or something. So he's got some wood, pushing it in through one of those table saws. The wood gets stuck in the blade. The next thing you know, I know this isn't a great picture. You see his index finger on his left hand is not there. So he cuts off his finger. They rush to the hospital, they put the finger on ice, try to actually sew it back together, and it's not going back on. And they're in Colorado, so there's a lot of people in Colorado that climb. So his doctor actually has climbing experience. His doctor says to him, look, Tommy, I'm sorry, but you're never gonna climb again. Because the way they explain this is that the way they do the climbing is that they'll reach their hand into a crevice and then curl the thumb over top, and that's how they get the grip to do these climbs. But without that half of the index finger, he's got nothing to grip onto. And it's funny because his dad is in this documentary, and his dad says, I don't know if that was the right thing to say or the wrong thing to say to him, your career is over, but Tommy went back at it with a vengeance, and he started training. He set up obstacles in his garage to climb on, and they show him he would get jars and fill them with rocks or with dirt, and he would jam the end of his finger in there to try to train the nerves and toughen them up. And it's amazing, he didn't let that stop him from his career as a climber. The next part of the story, as if things weren't bad enough, I hate to tell you, but Tommy and Beth split up. That's some quality Photoshop work right there, right?
Yeah. I forgot to put the crack in there, when they split.
Well, it's kind of got a crack there. Yeah. I was up really late last night. So, unfortunately, or fortunately, I don't know, I don't want to say, but at the time, Tommy and Beth had been really inseparable after this incident where they had been held hostage, and they had this real deep connection. But Beth started to realize after a few years that the connection that they felt was different from real true love. And she started to develop feelings for somebody else. And she told Tommy, like, look, and things just didn't work out for their relationship, and it happens. But, you know, they're still, I want to say they're still friends to this day, but they end up splitting up after that. So this is where the story gets interesting. Have I said that 3 times already?
You have.
Okay. I think this is fascinating. Tommy, you know, he's wifeless, he's fingerless, his heart is broken. So what does he do? But he turns his attention to this ominous figure in California, El Capitan. And the way they explain it is that El Capitan is a 3,000-foot cliff of sheer granite. Now, maybe you guys know, like, a lot of people have granite countertops. And I want to say that if any one of us tried to climb up on a countertop, we might hurt ourselves. So imagine trying to climb up 3,000 feet of that. Just, I don't know, just put it in perspective. They say, and it's like a straight up climb. So what they say is that at the time, I want to say this is close to maybe about 2009 or so, Tommy starts like really focusing on El Capitan, and there was 6 known routes up this wall. So the climbers would like go up, and for one of these like famous kind of climbers in the climbing world, these famous people that climb, which I don't know that many of, but if you're into climbing, you probably would know them. There was 6 people who had like done it before, and there were 6 well-known routes up the wall. So I'll show you this picture. In 2009, this is like later on, because now this is where I'm going to get to. But there's only 6 pathways that were discovered to go up the wall. So what Tommy does is he starts practicing, and one after the other, he starts knocking out these different pathways up the wall. You know, all 6 of them. And what they explain is that for a climber to do one of these was like a big deal for their whole career at that time. But then Tommy goes and does all 6 of them. And then he goes and starts doing them again, and then he starts speed climbing and doing 2 in a day. And it's like, you know, he's getting a lot of attention for this. And then he starts going and finding like new ways to get up the mountain. And he discovers like 9 more or something like that, like different ways up. And that's why this photo like shows so many different ones. And so he's getting a lot of attention for what he's doing. And there he is dreaming about his future. Now, let me see. Don't look. Okay. I need to go back for a second. There's this part of this wall, and that's why they call this the dawn wall. There's part of this wall because, you know, it's there on this mountain surrounding it. So in the morning, as the sun is coming up and it eclipses, you know, the neighboring mountain, there's one part of the wall that receives the sunlight, the very first, you know, sunlight in the morning every day, and that's what they call it, the dawn wall. So the dawn wall is a part that nobody has ever climbed, and they say it can't be done. And that's why you see Tommy there staring at the dawn wall. And he's thinking like, oh, you can't do it? You know, like, that old Chinese proverb that says, don't tell a man he can't do something when he's doing it. Yeah, sorry, I don't want to say just a man. Don't tell a person, right? So Tommy is doing it, and so Tommy starts working on this, because as I said, you don't just go to a mountain and start climbing it. You gotta like have a plan. You have to sort of know what your route is and where the handholds are and where the grips are and everything. So he's studying it, and sometimes he's at the base of the mountain, like looking up with a telescope, and he's like mapping it out and stuff. And he realizes, he goes, you know, I can't do this by myself. But, you know, he doesn't have Beth anymore, his old climbing partner. He's all alone, and he's just sort of like, what am I gonna do? So out of the blue, we know there's no coincidences, right? So this is a coincidence. Kevin Jorgensen sends him like a message on Facebook, and he's like, you know, if you ever need a climbing partner, you know, I'd really like to, you know, join you one of these days. Tommy's like, meet me at El Capitan in October. He's like, okay. So Kevin Jorgensen is pretty famous in the climbing world for his own merit. Kevin, he's not a mountain climber, but he does bouldering. So bouldering is just like it looks like. He's climbing these big rocks. So he's very physically fit. He has all the same type of experience that a mountain climber would have about making the grips and the physicality and the core strength and everything you would need, except he usually does it up to about 30 feet high. And he has no experience using ropes and hooks and all the stuff that mountain climbers use. But he's got all the physical basis of it. So he meets with Tommy, and Tommy starts training him right away. Like what mountain climbers, they have to carry all their gear, their hooks, their tent, the tent thing that's on the side of the mountain. It's like ridiculous. There's stuff you don't even think about. It's like kind of gross, but like you never think about like if a guy is on the side of a mountain for a week, how does he go to the bathroom? And they sort of explain that in this thing, and you're like, oh, okay, it's not as glamorous as you think it would be. And they meet, and for about 6 years, they start actually working on this path up the Dawn Wall of El Capitan. And they start working on this until they finally feel like, okay, we found it. We found a way to do it. And after about 6 years, they meet one fall, I think it was in the fall, and they go, okay, like, this is it. Like, now we're ready. We're ready to do this. So they meet here, at the bottom, and you'll notice these yellowish dots. These are called pitches. So each pitch is about a rope length, which is about 150 feet. So what they do is they start at the bottom, obviously, and one climber will go up to the first pitch. He waits there, and the second climber comes up and meets him. And then, they go up one by one by one. And on a good day, they might get 2 pitches done, and then they have to like camp. So that's what they start working on, is going up this mountain. And ooh, I want to say, I'm sorry, I don't remember. I think there might be about 30 pitches to get to the top. So if you'll notice, Exhibit B, right about here, most of the time, you notice, hello, okay, thank you. This is weird. Anyway, most of the time the line goes up, right? Like you're at the bottom and you want to go to the top, so you probably want to go up, obviously. But if you notice here, there's a part where the line goes sideways. And it literally figuratively, it's going sideways too. Because this is the only way that they found to get up this Dawn Wall is in this one section. They have to go completely sideways. It's really interesting because you have this whole granite cliff, but there's this one band, and you can, this picture, it doesn't really look good on this projector in here, but you can sort of see that it's sort of like sandwiched in there between 2 other bands. It's a little bit different, and it just has like just enough that they can grip it and go across it. So what happens is they also have, okay, I'll sort of explain this part, the base camp. They'll climb and make a progress, and then they'll set up like their base camp, their tent and stuff on the wall with their food and all this stuff. And what they can do is sort of climb and make progress, and then they can just sort of like rappel down, like in a James Bond movie or something. They'll just go back down to the base camp, and the next day when they're rested up, they go back to where they left off, and then they can keep going. So they have their base camp. What happens is they get to this one pitch called pitch 15, and Tommy makes it across pitch 15 on maybe his first or second try. It's ridiculous when you watch these guys trying and they mess up and then they fall and their rope like holds them and you're like, whoa, and then they fall and slam into the side of the mountain. It's like a serious thing. So Tommy makes it across pitch 15, but Kevin doesn't. And he tries once, 2 times, 3 times, and every time he fails, he has to stop, climb back to the beginning, and it takes him about an hour or so, and he kind of has to get his bearings again and try again. And he's there till the middle of the night, trying and messing up. So they say, okay, let's take a break. So he tries again the next day, can't do it. Tries again, and then he'll take a day and just rest because his hands are getting all eaten up and bloody and blistery and nasty, and can't make it across pitch 15. So one day he finally says, like, I'm just going to rest today. So Tommy goes to the next part, which is this interesting part. They call it the dyno. The dyno is like this one part where the only way that they ever figured out to get across this is this part where they have to like grab and leap about 8 feet to the side and catch onto the thing and grab it. And the funny part is that Tommy could never finish this, but Kevin could. Kevin's like the bouldering guy, but Tommy just can't do this. So Tommy comes up with this other path. You see this like big circle. To get around this 1 8-foot section of wall, he takes this like 300-foot circle around it. It's like, it's ridiculous. It takes him like a whole day to do that, but he completes what he needs to do. But he finishes that, but then Kevin is still working on pitch 15. And so Kevin's just kind of saying like, okay, it's okay, like you can go on ahead, like I'm gonna keep working on this, but you go on ahead, because at the end of the day, they come back to their base camp and they rest. So Kevin's still just not getting across this traverse area, this sideways area. So Tommy keeps climbing, and you see on the map, Tommy finally, after a few days, gets to this Wino Tower. So this is the first place on the cliff where there's actually a ledge. It's about 3 foot wide, and you can actually like stand or sit on it. And you see him, and there's, the film crew is there, and they're filming him, and you see him when he finally gets to this tower, and he can like, for the first time, like actually like stand up on the side of the mountain and or lay down. You see him like laying down on it. It's not that big, but it's like, for him, it's a huge deal. And he also knows that once he's gotten to Wino Tower, I mean, there's a few days worth of climbing left, but he also knows that like the hardest part of the journey is over once he's gotten there. So it's a big milestone for him. But then you see his face, the film crew is there. You see him, and he gets to this like ledge, and he's ecstatic, and then you see his mood like just drop all of a sudden, because he starts to think like, how can I do this without my friend? And this is what really like got me about this story, is they go back down to the base camp that night. Kevin's really happy for Tommy knowing that he made it to this milestone, but he's also kind of like bummed out, like, man, I'm still stuck working on the same section that I've been working on for like and days have gone by. And it's like, so they're on the side of the mountain like 2 weeks already, growing like these gnarly beards, and they haven't showered or anything. It's like, can just imagine what it's like. And Tommy is there, and you see him, he's like got this gas stove, and he's heating up some like ramen noodles or something. And he's like Tommy is telling Kevin like how happy he is about what he's done. But he does this thing, and I know this thing because like I know like when I'm trying to hold in tears, sometimes it comes out as kind of like a laugh. And he does this thing where he's telling them like, like I'm really happy, but like you can see he's like choking it back. He's like, I want you there with me. Like I need you to be there with me. And because men sometimes have a hard time expressing their feelings, like what's really going on. But this is kind of where I thought, okay, I can tie this into Spiritism a little bit. So what I want to ask is, what's the biggest obstacle that we will ever face in our lifetime? What's the biggest challenge? Don't everybody answer at once. What do you think it is? What's your greatest challenge? I'm looking at you.
Me?
Yeah. Você.
Yeah, I think that Luigi knows me very well. Yeah, but I don't think that's what he means.
I don't know what's going on. That's some inside joke, I guess. What's the greatest challenge you'll ever face? Well, I'll tell you. Look in the mirror. I don't know about you guys. I used to, before I came to the Spiritist Center, back when I had free time and like things to do, I used to go to Tai Chi classes, and that's one of the things that I would notice is like, well, with Tai Chi or some type of like martial arts and things like that, the real challenge is not to be better than the guy next to you or to win anything. The real challenge is like each day to be better than yourself and be better than you were the day before. And that's really our greatest obstacle is ourselves. That's why like a lot of times if you watch these like kung fu movies and stuff, they'll say like, who's your greatest enemy? And they'll just hold a mirror up to the guy, you know, or they'll go into a house of mirrors or something. You can kind of see it's a cat. I like cats. So in the Spirits book, because this is a Spiritist center, Alan Kardec asks, what is the greatest obstacle to progress? You guys know this one? I'm not asking the president of the Spiritist Center. I'm asking the other guys. Anybody know? Oh, yeah, okay, yeah. I mean, you could try. You could be wrong. It's okay. It's okay to be wrong. Pride and selfishness. And what is, and what are we talking about in this case? Pride and selfishness. Pride really is this idea that we want to place ourselves ahead of other people. And this is something I really like struggle with myself. Like, I notice, like, what is like, for me, I notice like the result of pride a lot because, when something happens and for me, like the red light, it's like the red light on the dashboard is when I get angry about something. And I realize like that I think I'm like better than something, or I deserve better, I deserve to be treated better. And somebody says something to me, or does something, and that like the anger goes off. And this is like what I'm really like learning is like, it has a lot to do with like what place do I think I deserve, or do I think I've earned, and what place am I really at? And this selfishness really is about placing ourselves ahead of others. We're placing our needs, making ourselves more important, sitting at the head of the table, as they say. In the Gospel according to Spiritism, in chapter 10, I happen to be reading this weekend, it says, if pride is the father of many vices, it is also the denial of many virtues. Pride may be found to be the basis and the motive for nearly all actions. And that is why Jesus devoted himself to fighting it as the main obstacle to progress. So that's really our work each day. And this is what I'm working on. And I guess it's like, because I do this little like Sunday gospel study, and this is what I've been reading about lately. So it's kind of like coming up is what I've noticed and I see it in my daily life when I'm at work or like, wherever I am, is where is my pride coming in, and where am I thinking, like, how is pride motivating me, and how can I correct that, and that's really kind of how I sort of thought about tying it into the story, was that when Tommy got like up the mountain and he's like looking at the finish line, and he realizes like, if I finish this climb and Kevin's not there with me, I'm not going to be happy. And like, I can't, and Kevin's telling him, like, Kevin's really being cool about it. He's like, yeah, dude, this is your thing. Like, you always wanted this, and you're finally going to get it. And I'm really glad I can be here to support you and be there with you. But like, this is your thing. And Tommy tells him, like, he says, I don't care what we have to do. I don't care how long we have to stay here. But like, I'm going to help you as much as I can to finish this climb, and I want you up there at the top with me. And that really got me, because I was thinking, like, if I was in that situation, I might not have done the same thing, and Tommy is just this really like good-hearted guy, and nobody had to like tell him or teach him virtues. He just felt it, like, this is the right thing for me to do, and he tells his friend. And I think about that a lot, like when I'm at work, and I don't know about you guys, but I thought about something that when I read about, when Alan Kardec talks about progress and progress for humanity, and then sometimes in some of the other Spiritist literature, we talk about like some people progress and sort of like gain more virtues and become like more levy, lighter, and some people, are more rebellious and sort of get left behind. And the way that I kind of like spun it in my head was like, I sort of like to judge my coworkers like, oh, that guy's getting banished to another planet. Like, well, he's not going to make it, you know? And, and I'm like, and I really like kind of think like, man, I can't wait for that guy to like disappear off the, you know, I'm like, and I'm going to be going to Jupiter or something in my mind. and I realized like, this is like a really backwards way to think. And really like, I need to be more focused on like the happiness of everyone around me and seeing everybody progress. And it's, you know, it's not like I can really, I don't know, like I'm not really like an expert. I don't really know how I could help my coworkers or people like out in the street to like level up like the way that I want them to. But at least it's like, I definitely can see like I need to change the way I think and think of it like more like, how can I help everyone around me, you know, get to the finish line, like with me, you know, like hopefully I get there too, you know, and that's what we're here for. And when I saw this movie and I saw the way that Tommy was like telling Kevin, like, I don't care how long it takes, like I'm taking you with me. And it took like a couple more days. Kevin like healed up his hands and like they waited till they had like the perfect situation. Actually, like they waited till nighttime because it's drier and it's colder. And they said like your hands can stick to the rocks a little bit better. So they did everything they could. Kevin finally got across pitch 15 and made it to the dyno. And like I said, Tommy had to make this big circle around the dyno. Kevin goes and like leaps across in one in one leap and grabs it and gets it. And before you know it, like he's up there at that ledge at Wino Tower next to Tommy, and they finally like pull themselves over the dawn wall. And you see like over this time, it took about 3 weeks, and they had gotten a lot of attention for this because nobody had ever done this climb before. They said it couldn't be done. There was people waiting at the base of the mountain watching. There was a photographer there. There was a journalist who kept like calling them and like interviewing them each day and asking them like, so like, why are you doing this? You know? And it's funny because this journalist is there. He's in this documentary and he's saying like, you know, like I've been covering sports stories for a long time and I don't usually get choked up that much, but this one got me. He's like, seeing this, it got me. And I don't know, I just found that really inspiring, and I thought I could share it with you guys, and really like our goal is that one day we can all get to the top and see that view from the top. I mean, I don't have it because I just read something yesterday that said like, you know, I don't know. It was something I read. It had to do with that. It was like out of the blue. It was like about like, you know, few people really ever get to climb the mountain, but the view from the top makes it worth it. and really like, it's not going to be. I won't be able to enjoy it. None of us can really enjoy the view from the top of the mountain unless we're there together. And well, that's really my story for today. So I hope that inspires you. You know, I hope we don't leave each other behind. And I don't know if you guys have any questions. It's available on Netflix. I can't say for how long or if it's going to be there forever. But I don't know. I love the story. And I watched it a couple months ago. And I had to like watch it again so that I could talk about it. But even the second time, I felt even more like. But, you know, like you can't admit that you get emotional. You have to just say if something's stuck in your eye, is what my therapist told me. So, so thank you guys. Do you want to do the thing? Okay. Let the expert handle it.
I watched that already too. It's a good documentary. Very hard to cry in documentary or movies. I cry in different situations, but it's a very good documentary. And there is a part in this, I'm just going to complete here, that the guy mentioned there that he wants to include his friend. The word that he uses, include, on this final thing. And including when people start thinking about including others, that's why when we started killing competition, that is the twin sister of pride. So that it's very interesting, this documentary. So people, a lot of people want to be the first, be the only one, be the unique one, but this is not going to get us there. What is going to get us there is all in one, and if we include everybody and the achievements that we wanted to get, and kill this thing that we call competition, that is the ghost of our souls in this physical world. Thank you, Steve, for the talk tonight. And I have some announcements to do. We're being at the end of April. We're going to be open the center next month. Full activities, 100%. All our activities. May. Yes. So that's what we mentioned. And right now we're doing everything in this room, okay? And we are doing our passes here, collective. And then we're going to start going back little by little into our activities. The only thing that I'm thinking about is the classes that we have on Wednesday, the study classes that we have. We have 4 different classes on Wednesday, and we cannot reopen that until we see that the people are back here. Because if we reopen the classes and started doing the study and people are not here, it's going to be, they're going to lose, Yeah, you're not going to be included. Yes, that's the thing. So we ask everybody that start returning to the center so we can, reopen the classes that we have for the study, for the books that we're studying on a Wednesday here, Book of Spirits here, Nosso Lar, and the Domain of the Mediumship on Wednesday. Also, we have another class on Tuesday that they're already practicing mediumship. So as soon as everybody started coming back, we can get the group together so we can start again doing our classes. But we mentioned June or May? Yeah. The classes, if you come back. But in May, the passes, magnetism, and the spiritual surgery. Yeah, this is a May. So we're going to go back on a Fridays, Monday and Fridays. I don't know if we're going to have enough people to work on the magnetism. That's, we're going to see how it is. Look there. Look at those upper fingers. So Monday and Friday, we're going to go back with the magnetism. Also, we're going to talk the passes, of course. I talked to many today. We need to clean the room back. We gotta get the stuff here because we're gonna be giving passes here on Saturday. Huh? No, just to help him out. Right, Manny? And the surgery that we do every Friday at 7 o'clock. Okay, we're gonna go back with that also, little by little, with our spiritual doctors and everything else. The kids on a Saturday. We are also going to go back. Yes, presence here. We got to connect with everybody and started coming back little by little because nobody's going to come back at once. We need to start open, and little by little, we start attending. So this Saturday, we're going to announce tomorrow that we're going to have already... Yes, no, but we are here though, so we have enough people to take care of the kids. All right? In the kitchen, we never stopped, so we continue. So the menu for this Saturday is what? Chicken marsala. Spaghetti.
Garlic bread and
garlic bread, and okay, and salad, and green salad.
We have desserts also. Cheesecake pudding.
Cheesecake pudding and Romeo and Juliet.
Yeah, and actually pavé.
Okay. So we have a delicious dessert. So the kitchen never stopped throughout the time that we were closed. So it was very brave for the people in the kitchen, continue cooking, doing everything, coming here, and asking the people to come here and get the party to help a lot the center. I mean, let me tell you. Plus the garage sale and the donations that we got, we were able to keep these doors open throughout the year because we got no break on the rent here. We continue paying full rent, even though that we were closed most of the days. Before the pandemic, we were open 6 days a week, full throughout, right? So having kitchen every day, right? Almost every day of the week, we had a kitchen here. And we were able to survive only with once a week, 4 times, right? We broke even. That's fine. It's not a problem. But we were able to continue open. So we thank everybody that continue to contribute with us. Okay, as we know, the Spiritist Center is 100% nonprofit. So all the money that is made here is invested here. All the volunteers that we see here only work as a volunteer. There is no payment here. So I thank you all. So I ask you guys now to join me in a final prayer. Lights, please. And you concentrate better when there is less light. God, yeah, here you go. Thank you. So let's prepare ourselves for the ending of our workshop. Thank you, my friend Steve, for the talk tonight. Don't forget, at the end of the night, we have a magnetized water here that we have to drink at the end, if you want to. Let's elevate our thoughts again, once again tonight. Asking the mentors to continue illuminating our path, continue open our consciousness for new things. Like the study told us tonight, things that are going to show us that we are one, that we are together on this path of evolution and transformation. We need to reach out for those who are falling behind, because without them, we're never going to meet peace or happiness. Peace and happiness combined will give us joy. And that's the ultimate goal that us, incarnated spirit on this planet, are longing for. So I hope the study tonight, the teachings that we put in here every week, can help us, show us, and help us climb this mountain that we call ourselves. Help us in our transformation each and every day, being a different person, a different way of doing things, a different way of thinking, a different way of seeing the world. And the most important of all, accepting each one of them the way they are. The same way God accepts us how we are. So in the name of God, in the name of our Master Jesus Christ, in the name of the mentors of this Spiritist Center, we ask permissions to end a lecture and a workshop for tonight. So be it.